This summer, Instacart presents famous summer flavors coming to your front door. Or pool. Or hotel.
Your grocery delivery has arrived, sir.
That was faster than room service.
No violins in the lobby.
Oh, seriously? Anyway, sit back, relax, and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Starring your favorite snacks, drinks, and more. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Rated H for hungry audiences. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours. We're a music podcast that chats to artists, musicians and creatives on their songwriting craft and upcoming projects. I'm your host Simon Fink and welcome to episode 270. We're super excited to advise you that our guest today is Claud. The indie rock songwriter is releasing their brand new record today, which is titled Supermodels. Now, for anyone who missed 2021's Super Monster, which is also a killer indie pop record, this is a brilliant follow-up that showcases Claud's songwriting ability. Now, before we get to our chat with Claud, please make sure that you're subscribed to this podcast and to our new This Song Radio podcast. You can find details for both in the episode show notes, which is where you'll also find all of our social media channels. Please, if you haven't subscribed to those. Our guest today is Claud. We talk a lot about Saddest Factory Records on this podcast, which is the record label run by Phoebe Bridgers. And we've previously had guests like Moona and Charlie Hickey on the pod. But today we're very excited to add another addition to the Saddest Factory Records guests on This Song Is Yours with Claud, as they were the first artist to sign with the label back in 2020. In February of 2021, they released their debut record, Supermonster, that was filled with brilliantly written indie pop songs that had slight touches of, I want to say, woozy and playful production. Claud has since spent the last few years touring with artists like Bleachers and opening for bands like Paramore and Le Tigre. Now today, they're releasing the highly anticipated follow-up second record, which is called Supermodels. If you loved the first Claud record, then you're going to love this one just as much. Some of the tracks are absolutely brilliant on this record. In today's episode, we speak with Claud about the songwriting on the record and some of the challenges that they faced with certain instruments while creating and composing. We discuss how they named a song Paul Rudd and what his subsequent response was when he found out that there was a song named after him. We also ask Claud when we can expect to see them down here in Australia touring and playing some shows, as we know that there are quite a few Claud fans down here. Now, all details on where you can buy Supermodels can be found within the episode show notes, and we want to say a massive thank you to Emma from Positive Feedback for her help with this episode. Here is our conversation with Claud.
It's something I couldn't tell you, even though you asked for truth. It's really not about you.
Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Claud. Hello, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, anytime.
Now, it's an incredibly exciting time for you at the moment, Claud. There is a brand new record out. It is called Supermodels. It's out this week. Firstly, congratulations on this wonderful record. How are you feeling about the record coming out and fans being able to listen to these songs finally?
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm just like I'm so nervous. I feel more nervous for this for this album than I did for my last one. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm so excited too.
Is nerves usually a big part of release day? This is the second album from yourself, but are you usually a nervous person when it comes to putting new music out there?
Not usually. For some reason this time around I am. I don't know what that means, but I think I just care about it a lot.
Of course, and I think that and not that your previous record Supermonster didn't have that sound, but you can tell that with this second record that there's not just a lot of brilliant songwriting in it, but there's a lot of heart and that a lot of thought has been put into these songs as well. I think that...
Thanks.
You began writing some of these songs not long after Supermonster came out in 2021.
Yeah. Some of the album was started only a few months after Supermonster came out, and then, I mean, some of the album was written like, last summer. So things are pretty recent, or even after that. So some things are pretty recent and some things are pretty old, but yeah, I definitely really, really dug in terms of the songwriting and vulnerability on this album.
It is a very honest album, I want to say. Some of the subject matter that you're talking about here, even if it might not seem like on, I guess, a surface level, the songs sonically sound brilliant, which I want to talk about in a little bit. But some of the subject matter I feel like kind of is dealing with a little bit of a darker or more serious tone. With that, I guess, how do you find yourself when lyric writing and wanting to obviously express your true self and your most honest self without divulging too much?
Well, I mean, it's hard. I think it's just something you can't really think about much when you're writing. It kind of comes down to, like, after you've written the song and after you've kind of, word vomited or gone through gone through the steps of, like, writing an honest song. It's like then you decide if it's something you want to share with the world, and I just felt like it was worth it.
Yeah, 100%. I please correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that some of the songs, I don't think it was all of them, but some of the songs on this record, the instruments really made you work to kind of get these songs out. I think there was a guitar that was quite well worn and a little bit busted, and an out of tune piano that kind of really made you try and get these songs to their best point.
Well, I had, when I was writing the album, I was working with some wonky instruments, but it was kind of inspiring, like the way, like only having having a limitation on what I could play on the piano. Only the middle range of this piano worked for some reason. I think it was it had a lot of water damage when I got it. So only the middle range worked, and it was in a weird tuning, and but I don't know. I think limitations when you're writing can be really helpful sometimes.
Are you someone who is a lyrics person first or a melody person first?
That's a good question. I think it comes at the same time for me. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have like a lyrical idea. Most of the time I have some lyric ideas written down in my phone, but usually when I wrote it, I had some sort of melody idea in my head too with it. I guess it just comes at the same time. I don't know how it works. It just does.
One thing that I do love about this record, and I love about, I think, your songwriting in general, it was across Supermonster and it is across this brand new record, Supermodels, as well, is the ability to, not in a big and obvious way, but I feel like there are little bits and pieces of the songs that just slightly subvert the expectation of the listener, in terms of that. I think that there are some beautifully written like pop songs or indie pop songs that you think it's going to go to a certain chord or melody line, and I found with this record that I thought like maybe this chord structure is going to resolve, or it might do this, and when it didn't, I found myself pleasantly pleased when listening to the song, and kind of having my expectations changed. I guess as a songwriter, what originally, going back right to the start, what originally drew you to the art of songwriting and writing your own music?
Well, thank you. That's a big compliment. I like keeping people on their toes. I think the thing that made me want to write songs in the beginning, which was like, I started writing songs when I was like 14 or 15, and I liked being able to I liked having like this tool or this like magic trick almost of like being able to make people feel things, like, because I would be so moved by a song, and it forced me to think more about my feelings and my life, and listening to music was just so therapeutic for me that I wanted to be able to do that, you know, for other people too. And I really liked to sing, but I wasn't, you know, really amazing at it when I was younger, and like I didn't enjoy like covering other people's songs. I just enjoyed like telling my own stories and making up my own melodies that sounded good in my voice, you know? Mm-hmm. And yeah, and the storytelling was fun, and yeah, it's just a lot of things that drew me to songwriting. It just felt like a really good avenue and creative outlet for me.
100%. Do you remember any of the first songs that you did write and what they were kind of like?
Yeah. When I was 14, the first song I wrote was a song I think it was called Falling for You, and it was like, you know, like 4 chords on the piano. It was like C, G, F. Yeah, I don't remember how the verses go, but I remember the choruses exactly. And I'm not going to sing it because it's really bad.
Look, we've spoken to many songwriters about their first foray into songwriting, and I would not do that to you. I know that it's a very personal and private matter, so thank you for sharing those details with us.
Thanks, yeah.
I was hoping that I might be able to be a little bit selfish and ask about one of my favourite tracks on the record, but I thought I would maybe switch it up a little bit and maybe allow you to pick which one. I thought that there was a brilliant trifecta of songs right in the middle of the record. What was it? It was Glass Wall, It's Not About You, and Paul Rudd, which, by the way, is a brilliant song title.
Thanks.
Are you able to talk about one of those tracks and I guess the inception behind it or where it came from?
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love that part of the album a lot. I could talk about Paul Rudd a little bit.
Yeah, please.
So I am like a huge like romantic comedy movie fan, and I'm a huge fan of Paul Rudd, and I've seen like every movie he's ever been in, probably. And every character he plays just has such like an ease about them, you know, like he's like, his personality is just so effortless, and he's like so charming, and he always, you know, gets the girl at the end or whatever. And when I was writing this song, I was like imagining myself of like in this, like I had an unrequited crush at the time, and I was like, God, if this was, you know, a Paul Rudd movie, at the end we would just end up together because it's us, and that's what happens, and like that's what's meant to be, and I'd be so charming, and I'd like win her over, you know. And so I called the song Paul Rudd, and then I actually ended up meeting Paul Rudd a couple weeks ago. Like, and I was starstruck, and I had to explain to him that there was a song on my album named after him, and that it wasn't weird, and like, and it was just like, yeah. And I like told him the whole story. He was like really nice about it. It was the best day of my life.
I guess what was his reaction? Because I feel that it's not every day that someone has a song written about them and named after them directly.
He was like, wow, should we take a picture? He was so nice about it. But he was like, why? Like, why is it called Paul Rudd? And I was like, we were in like a very loud setting. We were at the Taylor Swift concert, so it was like really loud, and I was trying to like shout over the music and explain to him like why it was called that, and then he really kindly gave me his email, and so then I explained it to him over email.
I love that, and I love that he was kind. Like a lot of people, I feel could not shrug it off, but like could leave the interaction at that. But I love that he gave you his email to explain further.
Oh my gosh, he was so generous. I was like, you're going to trust me with your email address? I'm like starstruck by you right now, and you're giving me your email? It was crazy.
That's so good. I love that. How was Taylor Swift? How was the concert?
Oh my gosh. She's like, the concert was so nostalgic, and I can't believe that she performed for almost 4 hours. It was incredible. It was truly mind-blowing. I was like, what? How are you still standing? I never even saw her, like, take a sip of water. Like, she shows no weakness.
From all footage that we've seen here in Australia of the Eras tour, it does look absolutely incredible. And yes, that she's just powering through these concerts hours and hours on end. I know that during the break, you worked alongside one of her biggest collaborators. I know that you were touring with Jack Antonoff, who we've had on the podcast before, and is a very lovely gentleman. I know that you were touring with Bleachers for a while. What was that like?
Yeah, Jack is the best ever. It was like, I was really scared to meet him because they say don't meet your heroes, and I was a huge fan of his, you know, and that saying was like totally proven wrong for me because he's just such a great person, and he's been teaching me so much about music and the world, and how to be a good person, and he's just so great. And playing the shows with him were amazing, and his fan base is so crazy and weird and amazing.
I was going to ask, because I imagine working or touring with someone like that, who not only is a fantastic musician in their own right and a great songwriter, but obviously has helped shape incredible albums by artists like Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey and who else, like Clairo. Was there anything that you picked up from Jack, and it might be directly or indirectly, that you feel has landed on Supermodels or has made it onto the album?
Totally. I mean, I started writing the album after I had gotten off the Bleachers tour. And one thing I think that really came through in my songwriting was like when I was writing, I watched Bleachers set every night of the tour, and it was like a 2-month long tour. Like it was a really long tour, and so I saw a lot of Bleachers shows, and I just was inspired by the way like Jack's songs sound like they were written to be performed in front of a huge audience, you know, like he's standing up there in front of these people and he's got things to say to them, and like there's not a second wasted, you know. And so when I was writing my album, I was really inspired by that, and I pictured myself of like, okay, if I get the opportunity to stand in front of all of these people, what do I want to say?
Well, yeah, I imagine that getting up in front of audiences like that kind of does inspire, or at least affect maybe the way that you're writing or wanting to write, in terms of, as you said, it's a bigger platform, it's a bigger soapbox to stand on, to speak to the masses with.
Yeah.
Now, with being on tour, you are heading out on tour across the rest of this year. I know that you're playing shows with Boy Genius and Le Tigre. I know that then the Supermodels Tour Part 1 kicks off, I think, in July, and is in the UK, and then you're in the US from September and October. How are you feeling about getting back on the road and being able to play your own songs?
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I can't wait. The Boy Genius shows are next week, and I am so excited. I'm such a big fan of Boy Genius. I'm like their number one fan. I can't wait. And then, yeah, Le Tigre is one of my favorite bands too, so I'm really excited to open for them. I'm just doing one show with them in LA at the Greek, which is like a dream venue for me. I cannot wait. And then, yeah, and then I'm doing my own little headline tour in the fall. Oh, and in the UK in July. I decided to like do a few shows acoustic in July. I think it's like a really fun way to tell stories about the album and about the songs, and just play the song, you know, like just tell the story and not have to worry about like really like performing it or like selling it, you know. And like just I find acoustic shows to be really fun and really intimate and really special for everybody. But yeah, then I'm doing the full-blown headline tour in the fall, and like I love my band and I love traveling, and I'm just really excited. I'm excited to play for people. I hope they come.
I have no doubt that there will be many people coming to these shows. The online reaction to some of the singles from Supermodels so far has been fantastic from what I've seen. So, yeah, I have no doubt that you'll have people there. I do have to, and I'm sorry because it seems almost a bit of an obvious question, but because that's Supermodels Tour Part 1, can we expect possibly a Part 2 to include us down here in Australia and New Zealand?
I hope so. I am trying my hardest. Like, I want to come to Australia and New Zealand so badly. They're like my top touring goal destinations. So, by God, I'm trying.
Please, well, if there's anything we can do on our end to help, please let us know. We'll gladly try and facilitate something to help support that goal.
Oh, thank you.
Claude, usually we would ask our guests what they're currently listening to. Is there anything at the moment that you've got on high rotation for yourself?
Ooh, let me look. I have to check my check my music library. I've been listening to a lot of Broken Social Scene because of the show that's in Toronto that I'm doing with Boy Genius and Broken Social Scene. I'm just a big fan of theirs. And a lot of Philip Brooks. They're incredible. They're like just such a good songwriter, and they're opening for me on the acoustic UK tour, so I'm really excited about that. I feel really lucky.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. 2 very solid picks. Claude, thank you so much for your time today and for coming onto the podcast. Congratulations on Supermodels, which is out this week. But yes, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Never sleep hot again with Bowl and Branch's best-selling naturally cooling sheets. They feel super crisp and cool to the touch and are expertly designed for enhanced breathability so you don't overheat at night. Start getting your best night's sleep this summer with cooling sheets made with the highest quality materials. Try Bowl and Branch with a 30-night worry-free guarantee. Plus, get 15% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets at bowlandbranch.com with code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.